What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions, and today we're going to be going into how to do a future Kanye trap new type of beat. What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do something like this.
Better watch you talk to me.
All right, now I was having some trouble when I was naming this tutorial because you know, it's not based off of any track. The kind of idea that I was going for was just like, you know, if Future and Future and Kanye like collaborated on like a really hard trap song instead of something more poppy, it would kind of sound like this. So I'll explain more about that. But first, I want to say shout out to some new subscribers. I got Koji Kabuto, Came Out, E Blue Magic, Christian Bean, Sunny. How did not Sunny 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, but just plain Sunny? That's crazy. James Rouse, Young Lolo, Ball for Life, TG Saltmeter, T-Bone Beats, Made Humble, Timothy Porter, Really Though, John Mobley, Stephen Campbell, and my favorite screen name on YouTube I've seen so far, Hollywood Cole. Now who else want to fuck with Hollywood Cole? Yes. All right, so what I'm going to be getting into today is just breaking down this beat, the mentality behind it. You know, I was going through the, you know, we did the Compton tutorial. We talked about, you know, having two parts of the beat and, you know, really trying to incorporate that into our own thing and so on and so forth. So, you know, I tried to bring that into, you know, into the trap element here, and what I wound up starting out with was just these piano chords. This is the first thing I played. And all I'm doing here, I'm working in the scale of A minor. And I'm just going from the one chord, which is ACE. I'm going from the one chord and I'm going down to the 5 chord. But the way that I did that was, typically when you would play a 1-5, it would sound like this. So all I did was just I highlighted these, inverted them, and to kind of get a passing tone from one chord to another, I just added this this suspended little note right here, and it kind of gives you a feeling like as you're holding the chord, you go up a little bit, and it kind of prepares your ear to hear something new. So let's listen to that again. You know, that's something, it's an easy, quick technique, and all you got to do is take the third note in your chord and just, you know, press number 2, and that will enable you to slice in the piano roll, and then just move it up one note in the scale, and you know, you get something a little bit more realistic. Then when I was building off that, I just chose to stack the piano with a cheesy Nexus piano, because this piano is a multi-sampled instrument. It sounds it sounds real fancy, and I just wanted to give it, like a whole bunch of really shitty, cheap reverb around it to kind of give it some character. So that sounded cool. Then naturally, knowing that I had an idea that I was gonna have this part play by itself, so all I did was I just added the bass notes of the chords, and I used another piano, the Alicia keys from Contact. I don't like the higher octaves in this piano, but the lower octaves, they're for some reason they're really beefy and grungy and dirty, and I always wind up either using those or from the Giant. So as you can see, I've got 3 different VSTs to play one piano part, and the reason why is I've already used these sounds so much that I know that I like this octave range from this piano. I like this piano's reverbs. I like this one's plain tone, and then when you mix them all together, you get something that sounds like this. So that sounds awesome right there. I wanted to start giving this track some attitude, so I found this vocal sample that I had lying around in one of my sample folders. I like the rhythm. I just went to Guitar Rig, flicked through some presets, found this one called Megaphone, and wound up sounding like this. And I just like the way that gave it some distortion and some distance. That was really cool. Then to just kind of put I don't know, some more like futuristic elements into it, I found an arpeggio in Omnisphere. And then again, I'm just playing the root note of those chords to get this sound. Then for the drums, for the kick, I just basically had the kick follow along with the vocal sample. Added a clap. But really went to work on the reverb on the clap. I wanted it to be, super ambient. I put this reverb on top of it as an insert rather than a send, because this is the only sound that is going to have this specific reverb on it. So I just adjusted the dry wet knob to get the texture that I needed. For the snare, I just wanted to add something sparse, something different, something that you don't normally hear everywhere on every record. I just want to do my own thing. So I just came up with this. These are just 2 16th notes. I click those in, and then I'll highlight, go to 132, right click, and go to split it grid, and that's how you get it to chop up to that resolution. There was no thinking behind how to pitch them. I just did it randomly, and it wound up sounding good. I just added that this little half step hi-hat just to give it like a nice pulse. One cool thing I wanted to mention about this was I found, I was looking for like an open hi-hat type of sound. I wound up going through a crashes folder just to, because I was on some, let me try to do everything different than I normally do in this track that I make. So I went to go through crashes, and I wound up finding this really good 808 crash, which it works even better as an open hi-hat for like a trap type of record. So never be afraid to go and search through different folders for different percussion parts. You'll never know what you might find out. The 808 was this is my 808 preset inside a Razor. Got the glide turned up a little bit more than halfway, even though there's no glide in this part. But I just did the root note of this track is A. So I've got this going. The way that the octaves are set up in for 808s, right? If you play a bass note like this, now if I go down to the octave where most of my other 808 sounds are, see, it's way too low. So usually up around these keys, this is where I'm doing my slides up. Whenever I do a song in A minor, I always have to think about this. So for this song, I chose to I'm just gonna do the hook 808s in A minor, and then I'm gonna do something else on the verse, which I'll show you guys in a minute. The next thing I did was this little transition section, because I knew that I had the idea I wanted to do like some fancy piano, something that like if this was like a Future song, or if Kanye was on it, like this is where like they'd be singing, So then naturally to have that big of a difference from that sound to the more straight up aggressive trap style, I wanted a good transition. I have been just loving this library from Complete 10. I got the Complete Ultimate a few months ago, and I just been going through everything slowly. And this Action Strikes, this is my new shit, man. Like, everybody has their own different ways of doing transitions, and these movie drums, just doing a real cinematic sounds, period. I've always been into that, and these sounds here, man, it's just better watch you talk me. So the first thing I did was this stuff is real easy to use. Is if you just hold down C in this library, and then down here you have different key switches which will change the actual rhythms. That's what I found inside that library. If you have it, just experiment with it. If you got a keyboard that's like 49 keys or longer, it'll work out better for you. I only have a 25 key MIDI controller, so it's not that much fun. The next thing that I added to this was this preset Dirty Race from Rise and Hit, and it's just this riser here. So I wanted, I wanted a. This is like a technique I see it in like EDM trap and stuff. Is they'll have two different risers. So first I have this one.
Better watch your toe, you talk me.
Now this part, I just kind of wanted to give a setup for the verse. I took this clip from 50's Many Men, went into Guitar Rig, and looked through. Where did I look through? I looked through effects, and I think I went to break. Yeah, it was break. And that's where I just clicked through and I found this Buzzboy bend, and I liked how it chopped it up and made it glitchy, but you could still understand what he was saying. And then I added this bass riser, which is just it's just a preset from Circle. And then what I did was I went into the piano roll and played it in octaves after one bar and adjusted the glide. That way the note would slide up to here and kind of act like a riser, and you come up with this.
Better watch your toe, you talk me.
So you get that grungy little buzz. I used the volume automation so that it would start out, and then kind of rise with the intensity.
Better watch your toe, you talk me.
Just something to kind of bring us back up. Then for the verse now, still wanted to keep it, really simple. Didn't want to do a whole bunch of, crazy stuff with the melody and things like that. So first, what I got, this is just going through presets in Circle. This is a new synth that I bought. It's a really cool synth. It looks like it reminds you a lot of Massive, but it's got so many more possibilities than Massive. I have a feeling that this is gonna be a really popular tool for a lot of people. But the sound that I found was just it's called Abstract FM. All right, so after I got that, my next goal was to kind of just fill that out. And what I've been doing lately with these types of tracks where I just want to have this one droning melody over and over again is I'll take a texture out of something like Omnisphere, because they have so many of them, but there's textures in other synths too. You don't just need Omnisphere to do this. So I'll just find a texture and layer it. You see, so that adds a lot of depth to the sound already. I wanted to get a higher type of texture, and this Galactic Dust, this has been a go-to of mine ever since I found the patch on Omnisphere. see, just off of, and you see, just off of that, you wind up with so much more body to that sound. And now you have a really simple melody that's got some complexity to it that you'll be able to, run throughout the entire length of a 16 bar verse or something, and it won't it won't get boring after a while. The next thing I added were these screams. Again, just giving it texture, giving your ear somewhere else to go other than the repeating melody. The next things that were added was this snare. Just a real light cutting snare. I didn't do anything, no snare rolls with that. The next thing that I added was a hi-hat. This I just did the hit before the snare. I just stretched it out, went to 16th of a beat, highlighted it, right click, and split it grid. And then that's how I got these. And then it's just like a roll going into the snare, so it just kind of brings your ear into the snare. I thought the transition from I thought that transition needed to be pronounced a little bit more, so I added this. Me.
About me. Better watch your toe when you talk about me.
Next thing I added was a hi-hat for the verse. And that verse hi-hat is just I took Abbey Road's 80s drummer, and I just went with a little 4 on the floor to kind of add like a slower, more prodding rhythm. I didn't want to get super fast with it. The keys that I used are these two here, because you can hear they're both hi-hats, but they're both being hit differently, so it gives you a more realistic feel. And I like that with the whole track that was going on, because I got 808 drums and light trappy snares, and then crazy dark cymbal crashes, and I didn't want it. I wanted to put a little bit of everything. Have a drum set, have an 808, the whole thing. So that worked out nice right there. Then I added these snare rolls. These are from a Superstar O kit. I think it's like Trap Snares Volume 2 or something. I bought these just because by the time I get to the point where I do snare rolls, it's usually when I'm arranging the track, and I just want it to get done so fast because I want to hear it. So I'd be lazy. I don't want to program my own snare rolls. And this was one of those occasions. So we wind up with these. when I heard that going from the hook into, from the verse into the hook, I didn't really like that transition. I wanted to make it more pronounced and, also smoother at the same time. So the first thing I did was I added this impact. So that was cool. That made a huge difference. That thing is like, I use that on every beat. This V-dub impact one. That's how like people who from where I'm from know that it's my beat. It's like I made it myself or anything, but I like that impact. I think that you guys should go through your libraries and find like an impact or a riser or something that you don't hear a lot of people using, and find your own and just put it in every single beat, and you start to develop a little sound. People know it's you. The second thing I added after that was this little down lifter. And I just like the way that took the energy down, kind of like how this snare roll is pitching down, and if you're working with samples and, things that you didn't create and you're looking to match sounds, you want to think along those lines. If you got something that's already pitching down and you want to match it, look for a downlifter. If you guys might not be familiar with how effects are named, like risers and uplifters, those are things that bring energy up, and you'll find like downlifters and drones, that stuff that'll bring stuff down. So when you're searching, in your in your folder, you could make it a lot easier just to go ahead and find your sounds like that. That's what I do. You have so many sounds. So those were the last two sounds of the track. All together, everything sounds like this. So basically what I want you guys to take away from this track is, again, let's start thinking in terms of, not just making a 4-bar loop and adding and taking things away from it, but let's make different chordal patterns. Let's make different melody changes, and remember to keep it simple, but don't be basic. This is another perfect example of a track where the parts by themselves, they're mad simple. You're talking about a 2-chord chord progression and an 8-note melody repeating over and over and over again. By themselves, they'd be stale, and they wouldn't impress anybody. But if you could take those two elements, put them together, and find the right bridges to those sounds, whether it be a drum roll or a riser or a downlifter. If you noticed, I have every different type of transition effect in this track, and sometimes that's what you have to do in order to get your parts to fit. So don't think just because you make a couple different parts and you try to line them up back to back, that they don't go together and they can't go together. You can always you can always bridge things together, with different with different risers and impacts and arpeggios and things like that. Reverse reverb vocals are also good from going to piece. So yeah, if you have acapella that you like, put it, run it through a guitar rig and go through the breaks section of the presets, and see if you can find yourself a nice stutter. Get a vocal sample to put over your piano parts. Make sure it's time stretched, and go through some of the vocal presets inside Guitar Rig, and just dirty it up and get and give it a lot more character. All these things are the techniques that we use in this track. I hope you guys took something away from this, and you can start adding a little bit more musicality and excitement to your trap tracks. Trap is still here. It's not going nowhere. The 808 drum, people just like it way too much. So if you want to stand out from the crowd, you gotta push forward with what you're putting on top of those drums, man. But anyway, this is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions. Keep it simple, don't be basic, and we'll see you on the next one.